Hi everyone, Andy here at Spymaster Gaming. Welcome back to the channel and a very warm welcome if it's your first time joining us. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how easy it is to kit bash models for Trench Crusade. I wanted to do this video ever since I put out one a couple of weeks ago, which you can see here, where I showed you how to create a new Antioch Warband, and some of the comments I got in response was that I was using a 3D printer, 3D obviously printing files, and it alienated a few people as they do not have 3D printers. And some of the comments that I've seen within the Facebook group and the Discord, a lot of people are just wondering where to start with kit bashing. So I thought I'd just make this video so you can go and find the key components and get cracking and having a go at making a force for yourself. So I'm going to keep on New Antioch as the focus, and basically what I want you to do, and just keep in mind, is World War One. I know this is a parallel World War One, is very broad in terms of what models are available. So find something from films, find something from TV that you find interesting or as a good reference point, and use that as the basis for putting your unique stamp on something. For me, for this video, I'm going to be using this guy.
I think we could dispense with the hilarious doggy-doo metaphor for a moment. I'm not a Bosch, this is a British trench.
Is it? Oh, that's a piece of luck. Thought I'd landed sausage side. Mind if I use your phone? If word gets out that I'm missing, 500 girls will kill themselves. I wouldn't want them on my conscience. Not that they want to be on my face. Yeah, I dumped the kite on the proles, so send a car. General Melchett's driver should do. She hangs around with a big knob, so she'll be used to a fella like me. Woof, woof!
Look, do you think you can make your obscene phone call somewhere else?
No, not in half an hour, you rubber desk Johnny. Send the bitch with the wheels right now, or I'll fly back to England and give your wife something to hang her towels on. Okay, dig out your best booze and let's talk about me till the car comes.
Unfortunately, most of the infantry think you're a prat. Ask them who they'd prefer to meet, Squadron Commander Flashheart and the man who cleans out the public toilets in Aberdeen. They go for wee jock Poopong McPlop.
So when that fellow looped the loop, I honestly thought that my God! Yes, I suppose I am.
And there he is, the Lord Flashheart, the cad, the rogue, good with the gun, good with his fist, and just a brilliant character portrayed by the late Rick Mail. He's my inspiration for this. If you haven't watched Blackadder Goes Forth or any of the Blackadders, I suggest you go and watch it, as it is a very dark take on World War One. But that aside, I'm going to show you how I built my version of Lord Flashheart for Trench Crusade using only sprues, bits of kit that you can buy physically, not a 3D printed piece or STL file in sight. But before I go any further, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you want to see more Trench Crusade content and focus on other independent war games as well. This is the channel for you. So without further ado, here is the build. Right, so to start the building work, we're going to use these following tools. We've just got our normal hobby clippers, we've got a craft knife, we've got a file there and some plastic glue. And we're going to be working on a 32mm base as we're going to be building a hero for the New Antioch faction, the Lieutenant. Most of the models are either 32mm or on 25mm bases. A couple of the bigger ones are obviously on bigger bases, but there's the two standard base sizes for this game that have been revealed so far, so that's what we're going to be working with. And now to come over to the sprues. So first off, we are going with the Wargames Atlantic Bulldog sprue. This is the sort of space Brits, but the kit and the bodies allow you to really use them for World War One aesthetic as well. You can see there you've got the gas mask or respirator helmets, and a good variety of heads and weapon options as well. For example, we've got like a nice machine gun there, which could be useful. Then with the Wargames Atlantic theme continuing on, we've got the Grognard sprue, which is the French version of what we've just witnessed. Some really good detailed bodies there, and again enough accessories to just keep you going and mix and match. And the final set of Wargames Atlantic stuff we're going to be looking at with this is the Conquistador sprue. So this is from the historical range. Slightly different scale, but it does work. and it's mainly going to be for the accessories. We're going to be using this sprue, the swords and such, and the bucklers, because I think that will really accentuate the model that we're going to build. Then for the head, as I always like to have a characterful look about the person, not just a helmet. Sometimes we're going to be using the Cities of Sigmar. It's called the War Hulk Ogre, so I've had this in my bits box for ages. I'm going to be using the head there. Cities of Sigmar, Stormcast Eternals. If you do want some good human faces, I suggest you look at those ranges, and they should be fairly commonplace to get hold of, as everybody will always have some Warhammer in their box, I'm sure. And finally, we're delving into classic sprues here, which are the Firstborn Space Marine sprues. Again, I think most people will have some of these laying about. So just for the grenades, and then we've got some scripture here, parchment, and some pouches as well, which will be really, really good to just put onto the model. They're not too grimdark, and also grenades there, and maybe a purity seal. In this setting, a purity seal won't go amiss, because obviously with the religious text and religious nature of it, they won't look out of place at all. So, getting onto the build then, we're going to be using the Gruna, get my pronunciation right one day. Be using that sprue first for the body, so I think I'm going to go for the one with the more flatter base there. Now when you're doing this, you'll obviously take more care and detail in removing the mold lines, but for the purposes of this video, I will sand it down a bit and obviously try and tidy it up. But that's not really my objective today. It's just to show you how easy it can be to kitbash with just a bit of imagination and a bit of research. And so next off, now we've got the body. I'm going to be looking to see whether the head will fit, and if not, I'll be coming up for a plan B. So take this head here. Might need some cutting work, because Games Workshop have obviously gone down the path of making their bits incompatible with every other game system. Not just having a standard roll roll joint on the head. So that's obviously not going to fit in its current form. Unfortunately, it looks a bit silly, so I'll have to get the knife out on it. Obviously, if you've not used a craft knife before, just be careful. Don't go cutting your fingers off if you can help it. The joins on this are going to be quite difficult actually, but we'll try as best as we can to make a decent cut of it. And then with a bit of sanding, once again, just to round off that joint so it might slot in a bit better. So a bit of paint on it and you're not going to notice it anyway. It's one thing I wanted to do this video with as well, was not using too much green stuff, because I know some people are very, very opposed to it. I, for one, am not the biggest fan of it. I think it's messy, and I'm not very good with crafting and sculpting. I am a clumsy individual, and I try to avoid it when I can. So if you can make a joint fit or pass off, and look semi-good 90% of the time without it, then we'll do that. So let's have a look there. Yeah, much better fit. So not perfect, but let's have a go and see how he looks with the glue. So, and there we have it. Doesn't look too bad. I think he's looking in the right direction. That's the main thing, and hardly any neck join. And more importantly, he's in scale, which is great. So next off is going to come the arms, and we're going to go back to the Bulldog sprue here, because there's a couple of good dynamic poses here, and the mix and matching of these kits means that they're not going to look too disproportionate. So in his right arm, I want it to be the pistol firing, because he's going to be a bit of a rogue gunslinger. So the pistol bit there, and then I've got the nice pointy arm there. Some nice shoulder pads on there as well, which would really go, and obviously you can paint them up as armour. So it will look suitable. Just some quick sanding here. The mould lines on the War Games Atlantic kits are they are present in some of them, like the Gronar sprue. Yeah, can be somewhat visible, but just take your time. It depends how perfect you want it to be. So there we are. And with the arms, let's position them roughly. So we want in this. He's going to be pointing at someone else and then shooting his gun over there. So now, the way that he's looking at the moment, I think is pretty cool, but I'm going to actually try and just turn the head slightly so he's actually looking where he's pointing the gun a bit more. There we are. It's still not quite dry, so just a quick reposition and that will dry nicely. So he looks like a madman, which is perfect. Now it's time to get to some accessories. That's the base of him. So for his back, I did want a sword and I wanted a shield, purely because as he's going to be a lieutenant, I want him to be able to survive as best as he can. So giving him melee options as well is always good. With a game like this, you should be modelling to try and best represent what the character loadout is, remember? Not necessary in all cases, in terms of armour and that, but if the model has a shield and that, then that's what you should be doing. So I'm going to use the Conquistador sprue here, because there's some nice round shields here, which could also be perceived as Ottoman or Sultanate in nature. A bit of gold on it, so a straight cut on the back like that. Obviously, there's not a lot of texture here at the moment, so what we're going to do is we're going to just do something about that. And in order to do that, I'm going to put some cross swords against it, but also use a big Space Marine pouch to give it like a backpack depth. You can see here, so these would look too big for the model, but for a shield mount on the back and then gluing that on, so you're going to see that bit of it as it looks like it's a backpack. So we're going to try it in a 2-stage. So we're going to file off some of the detail there, just so the shield will lie flat against it. Again, when stuff's hidden, it doesn't really matter how neat it looks. Paint can fix a lot of things, so don't be worrying. It doesn't look perfect. So I guarantee no one's coming over to inspect your models anyway. You're only a judge to yourself at the end of the day. So there we are. Try and get that roughly central, and then that can go on his back as a backpack, so it's a good mount. Now the other thing that we need to do with this before we glue it on is to give him a sword. So I thought, does it need to go through the his belt? Does he need to have it glued to his belt? Or shall I make it as part of this backpack design? And I think I've opted for the backpack design just because it's all self-contained then. And I know there's the historical argument of whether a sword drawn from your back is actually effective. People always said that about The Witcher as well, saying, oh, you can't even draw a sword when it's stuck on your back like that. But we're dealing with fantasy here, so you know what? We are going to we are going to stick it onto his back because I think it will look cool, and the rule of cool outweighs everything else. So we're going to do that. Find a decent sword on the Conquistador sprue. Which one? So most of it's going to be hidden anyway. You're only going to be seeing the hilt. Let's go with that one. Looks like a standard sword. Like I say, the scale on these are a bit smaller, but once blended in with everything else, it doesn't really matter. You're not going to notice it. So all the edges down there. There we are. Okay, we'll be hiding it. And that can go across. Move that down a bit. So we just want it poking out, so we want a bit of a diagonal cut on it, about 2/3 the way down. So you can mark it with your knife there. So there. So there we are. Cut that. See how that looks. Might need to take a bit more off if needs be. It's protruding too much. Yeah, so I'm going to take a bit more off. Cut. There. And let's see how that's looking. Yeah, there we are. And you can see there, but that's pretty good. So we're gonna just glue onto the top there, and hopefully just let that dry. Should fuse quite nicely. Give it a good wudge of glue, and you've got a backpack there with the sword attached. So while I just let that dry properly before I glue it to his back, we're going to get on with some webbing and some grenades and try and make him look a bit more like he's part of the setting. So I'm going to take these old Space Marine pouches here. They can go on the front of him. Hopefully the curvature will match what the body type is. I haven't checked, so if not, we can just make some repairs. So repairs, amendments. So let's have a look, shall we? So there we are with the pouches on and his arms repaired. He's looking quite characterful already. So I need a couple of other bits on him as well, just to make him look like he's fitting in the setting a bit better. So we want a purity seal. Again, everybody has purity seals. And some scripture for him, which we'll come on to. So purity seal can go somewhere like on his chest plate, dangling off. Maybe there. It's the one part of, I think, 40k which is sort of okay within this setting.
like from a modelling perspective. It's just because obviously the religious aspects and the whole ecclesiarchy thing and the obviously scripture. It's different scripture, but it looks the same. So he's got his little rosette there on his chest, which is absolutely fine. We can come back over that and paint a cross on it as well. And then what we're going to do is glue the backpack on. Got this little water canteen there at the bottom, which is pretty cool. You can leave that on, it's practical for the battlefield. So we're going to glue that on. The pouch hugs the back quite nicely, you don't really need to do any further work to it. Protrudes a bit, but again, we're not looking for perfection. If this is just an example of kit bashing. So there we are. Let's just position that correctly. By correctly, I mean just centrally as possible. There we are. Now, if you are okay with using green stuff, you can obviously just sculpt some straps on if you so wanted. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm just going to put it in as a leather block as if it's attached to his jacket. So don't take the lazy approach if you can help it. And then the last thing to do is I think I just want a bit of scripture flowing from his back. Just out the bottom there, so covering the water canteen. Probably should have glued this on before, but hey ho. Because if he's going in front of his men, I want them to be able to read what is scripted on his rear. If that's not inspirational, I don't know what is. So I use this bit of, say from old Firstborn sprue again. It's a nice bit of religious parchment, which I will just have flowing underneath the shield. It has got the, the Aquila, so you can try and sand that off on it. But we'll glue it around the other way anyway, so you can't really see it, just so it lies flat. It's going to be underneath the shield, so that is just going to go underneath. Attached to the water bottle.
And there he is completed. All of the parts, as I've said, are available on plastic sprues. Took me about an hour or so to work out where everything went and how I wanted it to look. But those parts that I've shown you can be used to make normal infantry and really flesh out a new Antioch squad quite easily. And with a bit of paint on him, he looks even better. So I used a very limited palette for this, lots of browns, just dirty it up with some Agrex Earthshade, and I added a bit to the base as well, another helmet from the Bulldog sprue, and some coffee stirrers broken up to make the trench boards. And there we have it, simple and effective. I hope you found this video useful and that you can go away and continue your own research with what you want your warbands to look like. Maybe you don't want to do New Antioch, maybe you want to try something else. Some historical ranges out there could better serve the Iron Sultanate, for example. But it's up to you to go and find them and have a play and try it out. Next question, though, is what profile do we give Lord Flashheart in the game? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think would be a suitable profile to field him in game? What should he cost? What should he be able to do on the tabletop? I'd be intrigued to hear what you have to say. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.